They don't post these opportunities like, hey, we're looking for the next host of Sports Center. Like, that's not going to be posted. It's going to be through referrals.
In today's episode, I interview a true powerhouse in the media industry. Her name is Treasure Wilson, aka Stat Baby. And not only is she the host of 2 popular sports shows, but she's also the founder and CEO of an entertainment company that combines sports, entertainment, and journalism. And she's only getting started. So stay tuned if you want to hear more about the career journey of Treasure Wilson.
Treasure, welcome to New York City.
Thank you.
I'm so happy that you're here today.
Yes,
I'm really excited. I think this interview is really special to me because you and I went to college together.
Yes.
We both studied broadcast journalism and media management at the University of Miami. So it's just crazy. Like we literally had classes together. And then now we each host our own shows. So it's really, really surreal. And I think that moments like this are just so important for us to, you know, reflect on and acknowledge how far we've come. And also show each other love, right? Because we're on such similar journeys. Although we're in different cities now, I think we always just show each other support, which is really important. Like as women, and especially as Black women in this industry, I think it's really important for us to stick together. So I'm very proud of you.
Yeah, I'm proud of you too. I gotta say, it's definitely a full circle moment. Like I don't think people understand when you see somebody that you went to school with. We were all, you know, at a point where it's like, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna figure this out? Like, is this the route that I wanna take? And it's a lot of difficulties in between. So to see us, you know, doing our thing in major cities is a dope thing to see. So I'm very proud of you too.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. You know, speaking of college, one of my favorite videos of yours is one where you talk about an experience that you had with a certain professor who told you that you were going to suffer and struggle and be broke. And I think I know exactly what professor you're talking about. But yeah, clearly that's not the case. That's not what happened. So can you retell us the story of what this professor said to you?
Yeah, so it's funny when I'm asked to explain the story because everybody at UMiami knows what professor I'm talking about. It wasn't supposed to be like a call out, but it was very much so. Don't try to tell me that I can't achieve, you know, what I want to achieve. But basically it was a situation where there was like a PowerPoint, right? And it was like the realistic part of journalism. And it was like, you know, this is a hard industry, which it is. But she said, you're going to struggle for years. You're going to be broke. If this is something that you want to do, you need to decide now that this is what you want to do. And even hearing that, nobody goes into a profession thinking like, dang, I'm gonna struggle.
I'm gonna be broke.
I'm gonna be broke. You know how high tuition is at Miami? Like going all through this to like be struggling after. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna find a way because this is my passion. I like telling people's stories. So, you know, luckily for me, which is a rare situation, my journey kind of happened pretty quick, which is super, super difficult. And I'm aware of that. But people don't see what happens in the background. I've been grinding for a very, very, very long time at a young age. And that's the parts that people don't see. People only see the success and think like, oh, this was handed to you, but it's never handed to anybody. You're just gonna see the good parts and not the struggles in between. But yeah, it was very discouraging. And a lot of people were like, I don't even know if this is a career for me, which is sad because...
And I think that's what she was trying to do, was kind of scare people off.
And it did. You know, a lot of people were like, you know, I'm changing my major. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to struggle. And when you hear struggle, I don't think you should shy away from that. You should kind of have the mindset that's like, look, I can overcome this. Let me see what I can do. So it's not for the weak, but you can also start out weak and become strong. So that's what I would say.
Exactly. Yeah, you can develop, you know, and I like that you pointed out that your journey is kind of an exception to the rule. Like you really, things happen very quickly for you. And I think that, you know, like you said, you put a lot of work in from a very young age. And today I really want us to talk about networking because I feel like you're kind of a master at that. And like, even when I came into the University of Miami, like I already knew who you were. I already knew what you were doing because you have a very strong presence and you're where you need to be. You know, you're in the spaces that you need to be in, which is very inspiring. So yeah, I want us to talk about networking. I feel like in any industry, networking is an extremely helpful tool to help you attract opportunities, right? But especially as show hosts in the entertainment industry, I think it's like almost essential. So how much of your journey would you say that you can, or how much of your success in your journey so far can you attribute to the power of networking?
Yeah, so everything that I've done up into this point is through networking, starting from a place where I didn't have a community of people in this industry. I didn't know journalists. I didn't know show hosts. I didn't know anybody that was famous. I'm from Tampa, you know, a small town, Wesley Chapel. You know, like people did other things, but I never seen it on like a big platform. So I was like, how, you know, do I get to this point? I don't know how I'm gonna get exactly there. I don't know how the end's gonna be, but I know that I can start. So boom, it started off with just going to the University of Miami, right? Everybody at my high school, you know, kind of went to more like local schools, which I mean, Miami's still local compared to Tampa,
right?
You know, same vicinity, but a lot of people went to UCF and FSU. The one thing I knew I wanted to do was go to a major city because I knew that that was going to be this point to find other people to network with. So that's where it started, right? I knew Miami had a lot of people coming from different states. I knew I'd be able to meet people from everywhere. So I was like, let me start there. Starting my freshman year, right? Of course, it's Miami. People know it's a party school. That's what a lot of people were focused on, which is fine. You know, have a good time. We are in Miami, but at the end of the day, I knew that I had a mission to complete. I joined UMTV beginning of my freshman, like first, second week, already trying to figure out how to navigate classes and then, you know, doing a club in addition to that. And my first internship was the first semester of my freshman year.
Wow.
And that was because of a guy on my brother floor when I was in Hecht. His name was Ethan. I don't even know where Ethan is now, but shout out Ethan. He was like, yeah, you know, I've been seeing you doing this UMTV stuff because, you know, freshman year, a lot of people were scared to like take that jump. He was like, are you like interested in like hosting and sports? Originally I thought I was going to do political science, like political news. Then I kind of shifted and I was like, well, yeah, I'm interested in sports. I'm interested in hosting. He's like, well, I know somebody that knows somebody that works like in New York and they like do event planning and stuff like that. NFL Honors is coming to Miami. They're looking for PAs. Is that something that you'd be interested in? I was like, yeah, I actually would. So it was like a weekend thing. And then that was like my first internship working for the NFL.
As a freshman.
As a freshman, through somebody that was on my brother floor. We weren't even hanging out every day. And that's where like my first connection and network started. And I was like, okay, it can definitely become bigger than this. Let me just keep going. So that's the basis of how that started.
That is amazing. I love how you mention your college as a form of networking because I think so many of us forget that, you know, your college is a great resource and the people that you meet in college, this is a prime example, you know,
literally
are going to be the people who are going to further your career later on. So that's amazing. Can you think of any other examples throughout your career that you've gotten as a result of networking?
Yeah, so it continues. I did join NABJ. I was doing internships through there, and then they were recommending me like, okay, make sure you set up your LinkedIn, because I was like, how do I navigate this? Boom, started getting my first internships through there. I've had an internship every year throughout college, honestly, every semester, you know, and it wasn't, the thing that people I feel like forget is like, they're like, well, I don't necessarily want to do this, so I'm not going to take this opportunity. The thing that people need to understand is that you want to build a resume. If you have nothing on your resume, it's going to be very hard for people to hire you because you have nothing to show for it. So I was doing social media startups. I'm not going to say the exact names of the company. I didn't want to do nothing in social media startup. I was like, it's kind of the same ballpark because I got to post video footage of myself.
Right.
But, you know, it's a start. You know, I need to show that I can do content creation. I need to show that I can speak on camera. I need to show that I can write.
Right. A lot of these skills are transferable.
Exactly. And you want to be the full package. Like, that's the best advice that I can give. Don't hone down on one thing. If you can write. If you can speak, video edit, you know, copyright edit, like take photos, photography. I was doing all of those things to just show like, you know, I have all these different skills. I don't know where it's going to go, but I'd rather be prepared than unprepared if an opportunity, you know, brings itself in. So the next kind of like networking, you know, besides like internships, working through people, NABJ, teachers, asking what opportunities are out there, I did a semester in LA because I really wanted to go abroad. The abroad experience looks super, super dope, but I was like, I think the best situation to further my career is going to Los Angeles because that's where the red carpets are. That's where people are hosting. If they had a New York opportunity, I would have did New York. But I started out in LA and we were there 3 or 4 months. Getting an internship for that program was so difficult found one the first week, and it was in person. It was like hybrid. So my first media experience was a red carpet experience. And that's when I got introduced, like the Kardashians were there, Paris Hilton, Machine Gun Kelly, Megan Fox. I was like, whoa, like this is a different world. Like, because in Miami, we're definitely in our own world.
But
I was
LA
like,
is a whole different
yeah,
ballpark.
I was like, it's bigger than this. The media space is growing. I also didn't see a lot of people like me. And I was like, there's a lane for us that needs to be created. I can do this. So that's kind of where it also developed more.
I love that so much, because that's so true that sometimes you get into these spaces and you really realize, oh, I'm the only one here.
Yes.
And that can be a little, there's two ways you can go once you see that, is like, okay, this is scary, maybe this isn't meant for me, or let me fill that gap. Let me be that form of representation. I love that. And I think it's so interesting, the more I learn about professional careers in general, but like especially in the entertainment industry, the more I realize how many people are actually acquiring their jobs through the use of marketing, right? Like, you hear it all the time. It's all about who you know.
Right.
So a lot of the job openings that are in the entertainment industry are not like publicly advertised. So you kind of have to use networking in order to gain access to these like hidden opportunities, you know? So you are the host of a very popular sports show called It Is What It Is. I love that, Stat Baby. And your co-hosts are literally Cameron and Mace, two hip hop icons. And I know that opportunities like this don't just fall into your lap, or you don't just see them, listed on Indeed. So how did you land this amazing position, this amazing job, and was networking a big part of it?
Yes. So again, networking was a huge part of it, because like you just said, they don't post these opportunities like, hey, we're looking for the next host of Sports Center. Like, that's not going to be posted. It's going to be through referrals. So another internship, I got a list of internships, I promise you. I was working for a sports social media company. And through that, I actually started a women's podcast about sports. Coincidentally, that was my junior year, right? Throughout that year, because of that podcast, I had kind of like the marketing aspect, I had footage to show of me debating sports, talking sports, editing, stuff like that. And they were like, okay, like she kind of got a little thing going on. They were doing collab posts, and then my followers were starting to go up, but nothing too crazy, right? So then at the same time, after I left my semester in LA, I was doing some acting. Like I said, you want to be the full package, y'all. Do as much things as you can. There was a casting, right? And through a friend that I met who was like an agent, like casting network type of opportunity, she was like, oh, in Miami, are you back in Miami yet? Because remember, I was in LA. She was like, there's this casting, and all it says is they're looking for somebody with sports knowledge and somebody who is comfortable, talking on camera. I was like,
hello.
Check. That sounds easy. But I didn't think it was going to be anything, to the nature of what it is now at all. I thought it was going to be something quick, kind of like a Fresh and Fit podcast. I could just, go on really quick. I go and apply. On my page already is showing sis got sports knowledge. She knows how to talk. She knows how to be on camera, and she's in school. Okay, so the producer reached out to me and was like, look, I looked through your Instagram, I looked through your LinkedIn, I really like what you got going on. We want to bring you in kind of for an audition. No words of what the audition was going to be. I just pull up.
And that's how a lot of these things happen. They're so secretive.
Yeah, it's like, and that's the other thing too, like you kind of think it's sketchy. Because I remember I called my parents, and shout out to my mom because she's here with me. I called my parents and I was like, I got an audition, but like, I don't really know how legit this is. They're like, you know what, maybe you should just go. See what happens. And like, safety is always first. So I just told my friends where I was going, went for an audition, met with this producer, did kind of like a cold read on the desk. We debated sports real quick, and they took the tape. Next day, I basically get a call back, and they're like, okay, we're going to film like an episode. I'm like, an episode of what? I still don't know what it is.
Oh my gosh.
They're like, we're going to film an episode. So I come in, and then Cam walks in. I was like, okay. Like, still not what's going on. He's kind of like, you know how Cam talks? He's like, yo, like, you got to do this show. Like, I think you're really knowledgeable. Like, I want you to do some content. I was like, okay. Since I started out as a content writer for the first 3 episodes. And that's a whole nother story that we can get into later. Started doing content, and then ended up becoming the host, and then it just kind of took off. But that was all because of, 1, the media side on my social media, and 2, the friend who was like, hey, I see this posting. I think you'd be a good fit. You should try out for it.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing. And this is another prime example of like, do whatever you can until you can do what you want. Like you didn't even know what this opportunity was. You just jumped on it. You know, and then even like you said, the first 3 episodes, you were just a content writer and now you're on screen. Now now you have your own show. You're not only just one show, but another show that you host as well. It's like, it's amazing. So yeah, I love that. And there are so many different ways to grow your network too, right? Because we talked about social media, but there's also like industry events. There are professional organizations that you're a part of. But I really do think that the most effective way right now to grow your network is through social media. And I know that you have just an amazing understanding of that concept and you see its value. You have almost 100,000 followers on Instagram. You have a following on TikTok too. So what kinds of things are you doing on social media to help you develop your network and your career in general too?
So one, don't be afraid to reach out to people. That's kind of the only way I've been able to start out, by meeting people in the industry, because you know, everybody's in their own world. It's a fast life. Don't be afraid to reach out, especially like now, like you have a show, I have a show. You got to reach out to people to get them on your show. That's the first thing. Second thing, people are a lot more interested in your life than you expect. People are kind of like, you know, I don't know if I want to post. I don't know if anybody's going to watch it, but it starts by you posting for people to watch it. You know, I was making YouTube videos since middle and high school. You know, people were watching some like videos and vlogs and stuff like that. Some were hits and some weren't, but that was something that I like to do. And now I have a portfolio to kind of show the beginning to where I am now. Getting your editing bag, y'all. Like, it sounds, you know, frustrating at first, but I promise you,
it's a skill.
It's a skill, and people are making really good money off of simple vlogs, TikTok videos, reels. Like, use it to your advantage, because all it takes is one hit, one viral moment to change your entire trajectory and to change your entire life. So post, you know, don't feel afraid. Nobody's gonna watch it. Don't feel like nobody wants to see your content, because people do. And if people don't, a company does, and they'll pay you to post. So make sure you're on that.
That is so true. And I also think it's really important to like diversify your presence on different social media platforms. So like you said, you have your YouTube channel, but you're also very active on Instagram, very active on TikTok. And I think all these different platforms have, you know, different things that they're really good for. So like Instagram is really good for giving you like a good, like overall general idea of like someone's vibe almost. It's like I always say, when I first meet someone, I have to see their Instagram, because I genuinely feel like it gives you such a good idea, which is so weird and dystopian to say, but it's so true. It's like looking at someone's Instagram will tell you so much. And then TikTok is really good for like, you know, showing more of your real personality and showing your day-to-day life and vlogs. And it's also good for promoting your work because things can just blow up so quickly. And then you can't forget about LinkedIn and Facebook. I tend to forget about LinkedIn and Facebook.
I forget about LinkedIn now too.
I really do forget about LinkedIn.
Stuff that I'm looking for is like kind of like hard on LinkedIn. I'm like, I don't even know where to start. And like, people will message you randomly. But now Twitter, like Twitter has really good payouts, one, and then two, like if you kind of just want to post your thoughts and you're not, because not everybody's into showing their face. Like, we're talking about, you know, things that we like to do. But if you're more of a shyer person, you can start with Twitter. You can do blog posts, like link to your articles. That's another way to get really good outreach if you're not comfortable on camera yet, because, you know, it is scary and you're opening yourself up to a lot of criticism, which isn't something that is easy for a lot of people to do. So, you know,
but it is something you have to get used to.
Definitely.
That's very true. Twitter is good for that. I think all these apps are really good for engaging with other people and engaging with people who are in your industry, you know? Because I feel like sometimes as creators, as content creators, sometimes we get so caught up in our own work that we forget that we have to engage with and support other people's content as well, because that's a big part of networking too. So what's your favorite social media platform, and how do you use these platforms to engage with other professionals in the industry?
Great question. So it used to be TikTok, but now, you know, my media consumption is all sports. I'm watching a lot of sports on TV. So my main thing definitely right now is Instagram. I like when people post on their stories, because I can see like, oh, this person's in this city, like we can go do this. And like making sure that I'm, you know, making content. I try to post at least a couple times a week on Instagram because, you know, the outreach is doing really well as of right now. And then recently Snapchat.
Really?
Like, I used to keep Snapchat just for like close friends, like people
You know what?
that I
do
know.
always get the notifications that you're posting on Snapchat. Yeah.
Yeah. You're like,
That is so
that
interesting.
never happened. Now all of a sudden.
I'm telling you, and I don't use Snapchat, so I'm always like, what's going on there? Tell me about it. What's going on Snapchat?
So it's like, it's just quick. If you don't like to edit all the time, which like I'm just getting so busy and I don't have time to edit all the time. Like I would never was at the point where I had to hire an editor. Now I got to hire an editor. Snapchat, I could just post real quick and keep it pushing, and then all that footage is saved. So if I want to make a quick reel or whatever, instead of like using all of my storage, it's in my, you know, saved, piece that together and then just post it to Instagram.
That's
and then
so
maybe
smart.
add some text.
That is so smart. Okay. I need to jump on that.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, social media is not the only way to network, right?
Yeah.
So we discussed like the professional organizations like NABJ, but then there's also industry events, right? And I feel like industry events, if you can get into them, are almost a better way than social media to make connections because you're dealing with people face to face, right? So what is your experience with industry events? And how do you go about it? Because it can be really nerve-wracking to walk into a room of like powerful strangers and like try to make conversation with people.
Yeah, it definitely is. I've, you know, dealt with this a lot, especially recently because, you know, I moved cross country. I don't know anybody in the city that I moved to, right? So one, don't be afraid to ask. That's the first thing. Like people aren't going to be like, we don't want you here. Like if you ask like, hey, you know, I'm just starting in the industry. I want to be able to network with people. Do you have some events? Start there. Two, TikTok is very helpful as well. I forgot what, I think it was Grammys weekend. Like I don't make music. So I went on TikTok and like this girl posted like industry events open to the public. Start there. Go to a public event, and then from there, meet people at that event who are going to other events that can A, get you on the list, B, talk to somebody who knows somebody, or C, you at least know the location. I wouldn't recommend pulling up if they're going to be like, you know, strictly no, but a lot of the times you can find a ticket or something like that. For me, it's been a lot of sports events. So there was in-season tournament in Vegas, All-Star Weekend in Indiana. Now I'm here for WNBA draft in New York. And from there, you know, like, I knew you were in New York, so I was like, definitely got to connect with Yvanna. Like, start there. Like, make your connections, you know, make sure you're reaching out to people that you know are in the city.
Like,
and then
nurture those connections.
Yeah, it starts there, and then it's just kind of a path that falls along pretty easily. But it's easy to say don't be scared, but I promise you, like, everybody else is in the same boat as you. And if it makes you more comfortable, if you have a friend in the city where you're at, bring a friend, ask for a +1. You guys can kind of, you know, tackle that together. One of my best friends happened to move on the West Coast as well. So I go to her city, she comes to mine. We go to the events together because we at least know we're not alone, which has been very, very,
which
very
helps
helpful.
so much for
But sometimes you got to do it on your own, which is okay. You know, we're getting older, we're getting grown. Guys, don't be scared. I promise you, because when you go to that event, that can be the event that changes your life.
Yeah. I think that's the main point that I'm trying to make is like, if you take those chances, it can change everything for you. So yeah, that is really, really cool. Okay. So to wrap this up, you gave so much good advice already, but I wanted to ask, you know, if you can give one amazing piece of advice that you think has really, really helped you in your journey for people who are, you know, trying to get into the entertainment industry, who are trying to be show hosts or trying to get into sports entertainment like you, what is one piece of advice that you can give to these people?
The first thing that I think of as a piece of advice to people who want to get into the industry is do not be afraid to take that first step, okay? You're going to hear a lot of no's. You're going to hear a lot of people who say, you might not be the right fit. You're going to hear a lot of people who say, you might not have the look. But until you take that first step and keep trying, it takes that first step to take you to that next level. And if you don't take that step, you never know where you could have been. Going back to all the stories that I, you know, explained earlier, it came from a lot of like uncertainty, me not knowing what to do, being told that this might not be the place for you. All of those things led me to where I am now.
That is great advice. And you know what? That's kind of advice that I get from almost everybody that I interview is that it's about taking that first step. Because sometimes we do so much thinking and planning and contemplating, and that's very anxiety inducing. Like sometimes you just need to do it. Like, and that's really where it starts, like you said. And you know what? I think one thing that we can all learn from your journey is like, being a genuine individual is very important.
Yes.
Like, I feel like your energy and your personality is something that has really contributed to a lot of your success. And it's crazy, like, you're just getting started, but like, so much has already happened for you. And I think it's because people are attracted to your energy and because you're a genuine person.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't wait to see where the rest of this journey takes you. Thank you. Thank you. It is exciting. All right.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Yay. We're done. We did it. Yay.
Yay, that was so good.
That was really good. Really, really good. Thank you, guys.